In this video, we're going to be prettying up our little points widget with some textures. So I went ahead and made some, and they're in the description. So all you have to do is download this compressed file, right click, extract it wherever you like, and you will see, or actually you can probably just leave it open. Open it up, open up Unreal Engine as well. Oops. And we will create a new folder inside of HUD. I'm going to right click, new folder, and I'm going to call this one HUD Textures. Open it up, create another one, call it points. I'm going to click and drag all of these files into our points folder, like so. All right, I guess I actually do have to extract it. So go ahead and extract, then click and drag all of them into your points folder. You have T.0, 1, 2, and 3. Now they all kind of have their own different layouts, so I'll give you an example. First things first, I'm going to reset the brush color. I'm going to go over here to image, and I'm going to type in points. I'm going to select 0.0, and this is what the first one looks like. So it looks kind of like so. There's obviously some cleanup that needs to be done, but for now, I think that's okay. And we also have 3 more. So if I go down to 0.2, for example, it looks like this, like so, and so on. So they're just kind of like a little bit of a different variation to somewhat follow along with this theme here, with the 0 being the full size, kind of like it's stretched across a little bit more. So that would be for our own kind of use, if that makes sense. So now that we have all those textures imported, we need to think about kind of a way to use them. So I want to go to the graph of our live points widget, remove the tick and the pre-construct. And I'm thinking let's go ahead and make a variable. It's going to be of type image. Let's see here. I guess it's just an image and blueprint. So we're going to make a object reference to image. We're going to set it to an array. And I'm going to call this one, oh, let's see here. Texture list. Or is there a texture class that's better to be used? We're going to use texture 2D instead. What's 2D? I have no idea. Texture 2D. And save. So here we can add an element to texture list. And we're going to add 0.0, 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3. So what I'm going to do is create whenever this gets created, based on whatever slot that player is in, it is going to have a pretty much an integer passed into it. So if we're in, we're the host, we're the slot 0, we're going to be using 0.0. If we're the first, we're going to use the 0.1 and so on. So I'm going to create another variable and I'm going to call it player or slot number. It's going to be of type integer. Should be defaulted by, let's make it a single variable. Right, set to 0. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a get. There I'm going to get texture list. I'm going to do get, let's see, what would be a way to index? I guess we can go ahead and test if an index is valid, even though it should be regardless. And we're going to drag off and do get. Let's see, is there a way to get a reference? All right, well, I guess let's just do get a copy. at the slot number, and that's going to be what assigns the border texture. So if we go back to our live points, we have our border here. I want to set it as a variable. I'm going to call this one b underscore image. So I'm going to go ahead and get it and do set brush from texture, connect it to the true branch only if it's true, and link it to our get for texture. So now I can go ahead and just set this back to default like so. And when I hit play, as you can see, it set the textures at the bottom right to the first element of our texture list array. So I believe we can also just get a random number for now, random integer, max being 0, 1, 3. And I'm just gonna plug it in for now, like so. And if we look at the bottom right, we can see they're randomized a little bit. So that's just how we're gonna have it set up for now. This is gonna be changed when we set up our slot system, well, so we can see which players in what index. And that's also gonna be what controls kind of where we spawn at. So go ahead and save. We now have our textures for our points. Even as bad as they may be, there's still something. So now that that's done with, in the next video, we will actually be making it so it sets to our actual points variable. So I should be at 8200. That should display 8200. So I'm actually going to go ahead and delete all of these elements because we need to set up a way to, when we load in, to actually populate it. Anyways, now that that is done with, actually we can do that population right now because no matter what, right now we just want to have one. So by default in w underscore HUD and the construct, we're just going to simply create widget of the type w underscore live points. Get a reference to self. That's player controller. It doesn't really, we don't need it. Then we're going to get our vertical box right here that holds the live points. Let's give it a name of VB underscore points list and set it as a variable. We're going to get it. We're going to do add child to vertical box. The child we're going to add is our live points widget. So we should have one now, which we do, as well as it randomly kind of cycles through the textures as well on each creation. So now that we have that, we need to store the points in a variable. Well, more so in an array. What I'm going to do is create a new variable. I'm going to call this one, let's see, live points list. Set it as an array. And it's going to be a reference to w underscore live points and just a list of object references. So I'm going to drag off a live points. I'm going to do add. And what I'm going to add is the return value from the create widget of live points. So eventually this is what's going to get filled up. So based on what slot gets the points added to it, that's what's going to be setting the points, so to speak. So let's see, how long have I been going? We are at 9 minutes. Okay, we can continue a little bit. Now we need to kind of think of a way to expand on this. So we have our live points. Well, we need to create a public function to pretty much change the current points that is displayed in the text here. So to do that, we're going to create a new function. I'm going to call this one set points. I'm going to take in an input. Type is going to be an integer. I'm going to call it points. And whenever this is called, we're going to get our points text. We're going to do set text. What we're going to set is points, and that's going to get converted to a text like so. Then we link it up. So now in our HUD, what we can do is, for example, we have our live points array. Just drag out. Let's do a get from index 0. We're going to do set points. And we can set the points to however many we want. So by default, it would just be 500, but we're already doing that. So we're not going to touch that for now. Okay, I think that's just about everything. So we have our live points set up with our set points function. We are setting the just a random texture for now to that widget. And we are creating an initial widget for ourselves. So I'm trying to think what I would want to do. No, this will all be dealt with the slot system. So I want to end it here. And I will see you in the next one where we should be able to start making it actually functional with our current points. So whenever our points change, that variable is, well, the value shown in that widget is going to also reflect based on our current points. So I will see you in the next one.